All right, great. Let's go ahead and get started and assume people can jump in on the call as they join. Welcome to our April meeting, everyone. Thanks for being here. We can just flip to the agenda, Sherry. We're just going to have, we're kind of following the same structure every month. We feel like it's been working where we have an opportunity to hear from our fire partners up front. Tonight's special speaker will be Dave Shew giving us an update. And then we, in the middle, cover what's going on with the FSCs, veg management, and then finally Sherry and I round it out with any updates from our team. So with that, I know Dave is here now, so I'm just going to kick it over him to get started with his update. I know, Dave, you have another obligation later on this evening, so I just want to make sure we, are timely in getting to you on the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I'm assuming probably everyone on this call already knows the big news that FEMA has clawed back the BRIC grant. And so we're going through a lot of roller coaster rides right now, trying to figure out exactly what all that means. But essentially, the big dollars that we had anticipated having, essentially the $40 million to do the work of fuels management and home hardening, is not likely to materialize. So it is most likely that is all gone. We are still trying to figure out, we are in phase 1 of the BRIC grant, and we are still unsure of whether we'll be allowed to go ahead and complete some of the phase 1 projects or not, which is the work that we were doing for public education and marketing and the environmental reviews for the projects that were coming. So we're still very much up in the air. We're waiting for feedback from FEMA and Cal OES on all of that kind of thing. As of yesterday morning, we received official notification that Napa County has been selected to do what is being referred to as an enhanced audit for the BRIC grant, which, we're not very far into it, so we're not worried about it, but it is going to be a lot of paperwork. So there will be people coming in from FEMA to talk with us about our expenditures and invoices and pretty much everything that we've done with BRIC up till now. But I think, I don't have any concerns about that. I think we'll fly through that without any problems. Other than that, that is going to change. We're going to be having conversations at the county level as to what that really means, what the future looks like, and how to pivot from the loss of those funds and what other funding sources may be available to us. So we're going to be doing a lot of that kind of thing, looking at, where we go with all of that. Other than that, that's kind of the big news on the fire administration part. We're still obviously pursuing all the other work that we're still doing. We have HMGP grants that our office is working on that we're going to continue with. Don't have any information. There's been no indication that any of that funding source will be cut off. So we are proceeding, full speed ahead with those kind of things. And so we're going to continue doing the work. It's just this changes a lot of the structure of how we'll be doing it and the time, sort of the pace and capacity of how we'll be doing it. So anyway, I just guess everybody stand by to listen in and see how this all materializes.
Well, I'll jump on and jump on and throw the remaining grant that Dave forgot. We also have our local pre-disaster grant from Congressman Thompson's office. One is awarded and moving forward. That's the Glass Mountain and the Lake Hennessy. That one's kicked off environmental review. NCFF was awarded that contract to do program management and implementation for the environmental. So they've stored that work. So that one is on its way. So yeah, to Dave's point, some not so fun, but some glimmer of hope and some things moving ahead, which is good.
And in terms of the BRIC, I know you mentioned some of the project work that's already in flight may continue on the outreach and education front, on the environmental reviews, which could then be leveraged later for future home hardening projects, correct? So we can use that to then build upon later. So that work would not be lost either in terms of providing that foundation, correct?
That's correct. And like I said, we're still waiting to get some kind of official notice that we'll be allowed to go ahead and continue with all of that. We think we will, but there's just a lot of unanswered questions. Let's put it that way. I think anyone who is involved in this, there's a lot of confusion and misinformation, and the word chaos is being used a lot around the country, and that's where we're at. We've gotten these notices, but we don't have a lot of details yet. We're still waiting to find out how this is going to play out, and we just don't know yet. So we're just waiting for final decisions and official direction. But the answer, Lori, is absolutely. We want to pursue doing this work so that it will allow us to do future work tagged onto that. Because frankly, if you do environmental reviews for things, it could be applied down the road too. I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically paid for that grant. If you've got all the reviews and everything is in place, you can still use it. So we're going to try to leverage this every way we can. It's just the jury's out on how we'll be able to do it yet.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I just want to add on to that, BRIC was one source of funding, a federal funding. We pursue, Cal Fire, different state grants, Congressman Thompson. I mean, there's so many funding streams. When you think about how NCFF and the county have partnered over the years, we are midstream on so many different projects. Work is continuing. Things are not grinding to a halt right now. So I just want to, allay that concern if it's out there, that we are still have projects in flight into what, Dave was referring to. We had, the HMGB grant. We've got other grants we're working on. Sherry and I are just working on a wildfire preparedness grant right now. I'm about to kick off another DSpace cost share. Work is continuing. While that may have been paused, it is not grinding us to a halt.
No, that's absolutely correct. And I think that as we as a country are pivoting from, right now the administration is really focused on clawing back a lot of support that the federal government has been relied upon to provide financial support for a very, very long time. And, there's probably a high likelihood that there's going to be other support sources come in to fill those gaps one way or another, whether it's state, private, whatever the case may be. I think that we're going to see other funding sources pop up, and we're going to be paying very close attention to that and utilizing every resource we can to try to maximize our resources on that. But this is a big change. So we're all having to go through it and figure out what the next phase is.
Yeah, and they haven't had a chance to give us a full update yet, but of course, Supervisor Cottrell, Joe Nordlinger, and members of the Napa Valley Vintners were all in Washington, D.C. a week or two ago, speaking to this. It's on all of our minds, but again, we are moving forward on a lot of different things at the same time while we're trying to figure out in this wait and see on BRIC. But I do think, to your point, Dave, we're going to be able to leverage some of the work that was started on BRIC. And hopefully, that's going to unfold in the way that is a positive ending, but regardless, we will continue with a lot of other work streams and including, if not ignition resistant construction right now, we're certainly poised to get going on a defensible space grant.
Well, and one of the things I'll share with everybody, ever since the LA fires, the insurance industry has really recognized the advantage of the home hardening aspects and the defensible space aspects that people had around their homes. If anyone who's been down to LA and toured around there, you'll see lots and lots of homes that did survive. And most of those homes had either features built into the house or had made changes to their landscape that contributed to their homes not igniting. And the insurance industry is paying a lot of attention to that. And they're willing to start taking efforts to reward people for things like that and really encourage the fact that if that is the solution and it really works, then there should be encouragement for people to do those things. And so I think there's a pivot from the insurance industry too, is how they're looking at those kind of things, because they're seeing the positive results when people do those kind of actions. And so, there's a lot of changes taking place here right now, and it's going to be important for us to remain sort of at that cutting edge of keeping track of it all and helping to guide Napa County into, really taking advantage of that.
All right, thank you, Dave. If there's any other comments or questions for Dave? Otherwise, I think we can flip over to an update from JR on other things going on, including the chipping program.
Well, hello. Chipping is underway, and appreciate everyone that's been submitting all their piles, and more keep popping up. We're slowly going through our schedule as pre-programmed, and yeah, seems to be going well. Working a few little kinks here and there on our application as people are getting to use it. One little minor update, and we're going to be updating our webpage here in the next day or two. Previously, we had asked for people to put in an application for every pile. Our system precludes that from happening, so it's going to be put all your piles in a single application with multiple pictures. The software we use actually is going to go through an enhancement here in about a month, where you can actually put all the pin dots for all of your piles, which will be really nice. But in the meantime, pictures and notes will get us to where we need to go. So I don't know if you have that next slide that shows the updated.
Sherry, if you could, we do have that. Sherry, could you flip to that next slide, please?
Slow motion.
Anyway, while she's figuring that out, yeah, we'll be continuing on our schedule. We have had some folks ask when we'll get there, and so we are pass that along. If we've already been through your area, then we will be moving on. There we go. We will pick up the first come first serve aspect of it that third week in May. So yeah, right now in the Deer Park, Hennessy, Rector, Lake Hennessy area, as things pop up, they have taken drives through those areas to find those things, and yeah, keep pushing the piles out there. We appreciate it.
And the reason I'm making an assumption here, I got this question. The reason that you report number of yards and not number of piles is because piles can come in a variety of sizes. So it's really about yards chipped as opposed to how many piles, correct?
Yeah, small piles. We get piles that are, hundreds of feet long sometimes. So absolutely. Yards chipped is definitely what we care about. And of course, resident hours is a big deal. As kind of reported here, definitely helps, with your guys' Napa Firewise certifications coming down the pipe as well. So it's good.
And I know we have been sending out in our news flash a reminder about chipping, and I think several of the FSCs have also been sending out reminders about the chipping program. But I did see one comment, this is the first wave of chipping. So this isn't it for the year. This is just the first wave of a way of organized of working through each of these areas. And then after that, is it going to be on a more of an a la carte, like you'll just do, pick up some in England and then drive over to Deer Park, or how's that going to look like after this stage?
Yeah, it's first come, first serve, and we do try and stack any of those, call it older applications as they come in, or the first serve applications, if you will, in a geographical area. So, if we've got a couple on Angwin, and we need to fill our day, we may grab some more in Angwin that are a little bit lower, just to, so keep from driving all over the place. But yeah, it'll move to first come, first serve. And the application, that URL there is wildly long. countyofnapa.org/chipping is exactly what you want. Way easier to get there with that URL. I see a hand from Miss Bergman, who we were running around, I believe, on your property doing hose training the other day. So thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was fun. It was, I think, about 40 of your folks were here doing some hose lays. David Shew, you would have recognized the hose lays and the drills. Those were things we talked about during the glass fire, wanting to utilize our property for training exercises, and it happened. I'm really, really happy to be a part of it. And anytime, so anytime you guys need the help. I was just writing up our newsletter for our FSC, and I wanted to ask if this schedule means I should try to let people know, for example, in the Spring Mountain FSC, that our preferred date range for chipping over here is April 28th to May 2nd. Like, should each of the FSCs call out the specific dates that are coming up if they haven't already chipped yet in their areas?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a day. It's just kind of the time frame that we're just going to spend directly in that area. Just so we make sure we get things, and then then it moves to first come first serve. So we'll be in that area that week.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll pick it up as the summer goes on, and we'll be up and running clear through the end of October. So we got time.
And Lori, I think it's great then for each of the FSC leads to kind of steer people to the date. It gives us a little more sense of urgency and structure around it. So thank you both.
And thanks, Pam. And on that note, JR, I believe I recall this correctly, that the schedule for chipping was sort of arranged around this, the schedule for doing home inspections with the fire marshal's office. Is that true to your? I didn't hear back from Eric, so I'm just spreading that rumor. It's not true.
Yeah, more really only specifically to the estates. The
Okay.
dispensable space inspection program will be kicking off actually next week. And they'll be starting in the states, working their way effectively around the lake. They do have a schedule that does not mimic this one really, with the exception of the estates that Eric Hernandez, our deputy fire marshal, asked that we kind of start there so we could prep for their arrivals. That's where they'll start. I know they're going to work to the highlands and the pines and kind of work their way around the lake that way is the plan for the beginning of their year.
Thank you.
Lori, you are muted.
I don't know what it is, and Zoom always is muting me. I don't think Zoom likes it. Maybe I talk too much and Zoom says it's enough. I was just saying that I feel like there's not a lot of information. I think some questions about what those inspections entail. Is that a cursory walk by? Are they going to make an appointment, into each of the properties, or what can people expect when the inspectors come into their area?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is effectively a curb inspection. So they will be in that general area, working their way through on that time, and noting what they can see and what they can access. If you happen to be home and allow them further onto the property, they'll do a full inspection at that time. Additionally, you can go to the countynapa.org/fire marshal's webpage and actually schedule for a full inspection and consultation on your schedule during the day, and they'll come do that 360 walk. But yeah, it's primarily curb inspections that they will be out there seeing what they can see, making the notations they can make, and they'll leave an inspection form in a mailbox or a location they get it to, or potentially on a wooden stake kind of out in front of your property that you can grab and see easily as well. So following that, they will also mail a copy of it to the address that we have on file for that parcel as well. So that'll be kind of their direction as they're working forward.
So the initial focus would be on things that they might see from the curb that the homeowner should consider addressing.
Correct. Yeah, they won't be jumping gates and traipsing through property or anything like that.
Any further questions for JR? Don't think we have anyone on tonight from County Fire, CAL FIRE.
Lori, one thing I'll
Yes.
share with everybody is that there is CAL FIRE, Office of the State Fire Marshal issued the new hazard severity zone maps for the local responsibility areas. and the county is going through adopting those, as well as each of the cities in the county will do their own adoption. So we have an ordinance that will be going through the Board of Supervisors on May 6th. For the first reading, the second and final approval will be held on May 20th, and then that new ordinance will be shipped off to the Board of Forestry in Sacramento, and that will adopt the new fire hazard severity zone maps for the local responsibility areas across the county. So you'll probably hear more in the news about that and such. There's everybody kind of equates that with things like insurance and stuff, but the insurance companies are really looking at risk and not hazard. So these are a part of their analysis, but not a heavy part. So these maps don't really play into a lot of decision making that the insurance industries are making. But just if you hear any information about that floating around, that's what's going on. These maps dropped on February 24th, and we have a 120-day window to adopt them and get the new ordinances scheduled in Sacramento. So we're completing that process next month. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out and ask.
David, can you say something more about the difference between risk and hazard?
Sure. So hazard is really the basic way to look at it is hazard is a very long-term perspective of what the potential of fire is on a given landscape. And I'm talking about 40 or 50 years. So we're looking at, 3, 4, 5 decades of time that the natural landscape has the ability to burn and the propensity to burn. Risk is exactly what all of you are doing every day by going out and mowing your yard or trimming bushes or raking the mulch away from your homes. All the little things that you do on a daily basis, cleaning out the gutters, things like that. That's reducing the risk, but it's a short-term action because vegetation grows back. Things return, leaves continue to fall. If you don't have your gutters covered or you don't clean them out, then they can still fill up with flammable material. So you can see that the individual actions that all of you have to take every year to keep grass mowed down and vegetation pruned and limbs away from your chimneys and all of those things, that is risk reduction. That's reducing the likelihood of those things impacting your home when a fire burns through. But over a long period of time, 3, 4, 5 decades, those risk reduction actions really don't have anything to do with what the general landscape looks like from a fire perspective. So I hope that helps answer the question. It's basically looking at it from a very long-term basis, which is hazard, versus a very short-term basis, which is risk. So that's basically the difference.
Well, we just got canceled because they said we live in a hazardous zone. And according to the CAL FIRE map, we are not. We happen to be on the other side of First Avenue, and it's a low-risk area. But they don't. They're not paying attention to that exactly.
Yes, and I've heard that same story from lots of people all over the state, and you have to keep pushing back. And people have told me that on average, it might take 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 times to go back and keep saying, no, we're not in a high hazard. No, we're not in a high hazard, before they finally say, oh, we get it. You're not in a high hazard. And then they go ahead and correct it. So unfortunately, some insurance companies aren't really acting on this in full faith. But there's a lot of insurance companies out there. So that's not an uncommon theme that I hear people say, that they are saying it's because of those hazard maps without really understanding that you're not even in a hazard. So you have to keep pushing back on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Dave, is there something that we can supply to help people with? I know we've gotten a couple requests lately for like an outline, again, not an interactive fancy map, but like a PDF of what the Fire Safe Council map is? Or are there certain things that, from your experience, that homeowners can supply to their insurance to help expedite that back and forth? Is there any sort of,
I think it really depends on the insurance company, but you know what? What you just said, Lori, really pops up in my head. What I know that we don't have, and maybe we could help produce this with the county, is maybe taking the fire hazard severity zone maps and overlaying just with those map zones, overlaying the entire county with the Fire Safe Council boundaries. And then that would allow people to better identify exactly what zone they fall in within their Fire Safe Council. So maybe that's something that we should tackle. I don't think that would be a big project to do. And it might be able to help the individual Fire Safe Councils and individual homeowners to be able to look and see what zone they live in.
Can do that. We too, once we have access to the layer, if it hasn't been updated, if it's been updated since the last time it was sent around, we do have that in our GIS with the FSC outline
On the hazard layer. Okay, well, I'll work on that because that is something that we can update with the new maps and make sure that those new maps and the Fire Safe Council boundaries are in sync with one another. So I can talk to IT tomorrow and probably call you guys to check and make sure what maps you're using within the NCFF website and make sure that those are accurate.
The other thing I'll make mention of, which is more of an insurance aspect, as far as the insurance ratings are concerned, is make sure that they're using the appropriate class rating for the county. Our previous class rating was an 8, and we now, depending on where you live, are a 4 or a 4X, which is a huge difference. And so if they don't subscribe to the newest ISO listing, they may not have that. So the difference, the big difference between 4 and 4X is if you're in a hydrated area or not. 4 being if you're in a hydrated area that's municipally owned is kind of the big thing. There's a little more nuance to that, but and 4X if you're not. But that'd be a big thing to also mention to make sure. And we've also done a lot of questionnaires for insurance companies about locations of fire stations, locations of fire hydrants, how many gallons per minute we have on fire engines, things of that nature, that insurance companies have provided as well. So those are just some other little kind of things you can throw in there.
JR, are you looking at maybe creating a resource page that people can go to at the county? I mean, I know we're thinking about on our end what we can do, like with the maps. I'm just wondering how we can assist people with what information they might need, or how we can point insurance companies maybe towards that information if we're getting multiple requests.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll talk with the fire marshal's office about that. That's probably the best avenue to go. One sort of pet project I've been working on is kind of getting our fire hydrant locations a little more accessible, because that is a thing. If you're within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, that's something they ask about all the time. So instead of having to go look outside in front of your house, we can pull it up. So that may be something to kind of coalesce together as we're getting that pulled into a location that's visible.
And this maybe not be an immediate fix, but I'm thinking what it seems that I'm hearing, because Eileen, this isn't the first time I feel like I've heard it, and Dave, you're saying this, is the insurance companies are a little bit pushing back, I think, on their policy board and saying, prove me wrong. You know what I mean? So go gather the information, basically do the work for the insurance company. And of course, the residents have the skin in the game. They will do the work. So what can we do to give them, I did not know about the rating of the county, for example. Is that a pertinent piece of data we should have posted somewhere? What are the types of things that might be helpful to allow people to pull and get that information and not make them, hunt for it? I don't know what all those data points are, but if you have a thought to what that is, maybe we could craft something and make that accessible to people to help.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So guess what we're going to be talking about in the office tomorrow? So
we love these meetings. Yes. This is in Dave's free time he's going to do, after the leads meeting. So thank you for your partnership. But again, this is a real issue, and we are hearing about this, Eileen. And I think the insurance companies are pushing back on people, and it's difficult to know what they want. So I think the more that we can all pool what we know and the expertise, Dave and JR, that you're bringing to the table on this, and understand what the issues might be that the insurance companies are looking for. How can we package that and push it out?
Yeah, and I think the fire marshal's office, they've got really good Q&A pages for all kinds of things like this. And so that seems like a logical place to put it, as well as, you know, a link in NCFF's web page.
Yep.
So
and if we
I
can do
think
something with,
yeah, there's a number of things that we could do here.
And of course, we have Firewise communities, you know, and most of our FSCs are now Firewise communities, which that's supposed to guarantee well, not guarantee, but that's supposed to potentially give you a discount, but that doesn't help if you don't even have a policy, but that should be layered in to the risk. So again, I think we further this discussion and keep going. So this is great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for raising that, Eileen.
Yeah, sure. And, you know, something else that might really help is if we can accompany that with like the plans that what makes you fire safe and what makes your risk go away, you know, like a cheat sheet of all these elements that you can work with to bring your home into the, you know, low risk category. There isn't a lot of that information on the website. So, you know, that would be really useful.
And I think in some cases, it's not clear sometimes what they're giving credit for and not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
correct.
It's just, I think this is also evolving, that it's hard to know. But I think it's a great point if someone's trying to be more, you know, resilient with their landscape, and what can they do that can potentially also, you know, a photo of their house that could possibly also impact, you know, their insurability with their carrier. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to dig in here.
We've given them a lot of photos and a lot of information. They've come out in person, and it really is a very fire-safe structure, but they will not acknowledge it. Sometimes it's just they don't want to do it in the state, you know. They want to get out of the state. That's the biggest problem.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This was a great discussion.
And Lori, I apologize. I'm going to have to log off, but great to see everybody. And you all know how to get a hold of us if you've got more questions. So thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your meeting, and we'll be in touch next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye.
So let's, Sherry, why don't we go ahead and move on to updates from fire safe councils? I think we had a couple things we wanted to highlight.
We had some busy fire safe councils over the last month, and these are just a few of the items, but Mount George, I don't believe is on, but had a community meeting, and they hosted it at the local Cal Fire station, which I think was great because they got to meet the firefighters and, you know, hear a little bit about them. Folks got a tour of the fire station, which I think not everyone was excited about right at first, but it brought back their, you know, in the end, they ended up spending quite a bit of time looking around there. Steve was excited. Steve was there too, and worked on their CWPB and their Firewise USA. So that was great start. Got some new projects drawn on the map. And then I don't know if you would like to say anything, Eileen, about the districts 4 and 5, Manfrey and Ramos town hall with Coomsville Wild Forest Fire Safe Council.
Sure. Yeah, the town hall was really well attended, and I think the supervisors did an amazing job with bringing the right people to the meeting and educating and having them speak about what their responsibilities are within the community. And then also they also updated the people on what the county was doing. And actually all the work that the county is doing is being done by Firewise, being executed. So the county is funding it, and Firewise is executing it. And they've done an amazing job of roadside clearing along the Coomsville Wild Horse Valley corridor. So it's been a great project and very efficiently and effectively done. So kudos to Firewise and the county for making, the one way in, one way out road much safer.
Great to hear. And it was good. It was a pretty full room.
Can I jump in too, please?
Yes.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. Sorry. It's
Richard,
Rich
I
Goss.
didn't recognize RG3. I was trying to.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm on my phone because I've been out and about doing things, and I jumped on late, so I'm going to have to go back and watch the first 20 minutes or so. But I will say that the event was exceptionally well attended. Eileen did a great job roping in several new community members to join the FSC and to really get things going. But what I really wanted to speak to was that the foundation has started working with people like Randy Pridmore to do work around around the county. And I got to say, the work that he's been doing is absolutely worth every bit that you spend on it. And I would highly recommend anybody who needs some kind of big earth moving, clearing kind of project to take advantage of the Firewise service of Randy and his crews dealing with big projects like that. They've been excellent, and we really appreciate their work.
That is great to hear. Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. We need to get more photos out for people to see of all the great work that's being done.
We do, and there were Eric had a nice after photo blown up of the work. It looks really extensive. I haven't been out there yet to check it out, but
Stephanie was out there with the videographer and drone today. So
nice.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear.
News.
It's better than Sherry and I with our iPhones.
Definitely, there's a limit to my photography expertise here. And I also just wanted to give a mention for Megan and the Barroso West Fire Safe Council couldn't join us, but they did receive their Firewise USA signs and got them up around the community, which they're pretty excited about. And it did bring up the question too of whether or not you can attach a Firewise USA sign to a stop sign. And typically the answer for that is no. Just FYI. So, well, it's something that we don't really talk about, but using the roadside signs is frowned upon for safety reasons.
yeah, plus you need an encroachment permit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's okay. It's come up it's not just these guys. I mean, it comes up a lot. It seems convenient if you're looking for a place to put a sign. So I just wanted to mention that as we all learn together. That's we can provide some posts if you need them. We have some extras in our storage unit. And does anyone else want to report out on anything they've been working on? I know you've all been busy and you've got things coming up as well.
Sure.
We have a work day coming up. We have chosen to help the Grange on Hagen to clear their property, and we've roped in a number of our members, and on May 3rd between 8 a.m. and 12 noon, we're going to be working physically to clear that property. The work actually starts tomorrow with a bunch of mowing, and then the community members are coming out on May 3rd to do the rest of the work. So that should be fun. Steve, I hope you're going to join us.
yeah, I that's a Saturday, right?
Yep.
I definitely want to come, and I drove by just the other day, and the grass is tall. I was actually looking forward to making a dent in the grass, but you're going to get someone else to start on that, huh?
Yeah, well, Ron Stevens, who was a landscaper by profession, has the equipment, and so we thought if he could get that done, then the rest. Yeah, the rest of us can tackle the rest.
Yeah. Do you have something to put all the green waste in and haul out? Does someone have a trailer?
Yeah, I'm going to get a gardener to bring his trailer along, so hopefully that will help.
Okay, great. Yeah, because we'll generate quite a bit of material. So
Okay.
yeah.
Allison.
Hey guys. I
Jane
just
Kane.
just a quick update on Silverado. We have our SPOA meeting this week, and I'm going to present this list, so I might as well let you know as well. SPOA is the Silverado Property Owners Association. We've got a lot of HOAs, we've got a lot of single-family homes, and then we have kind of an overarching SPOA board. So we're hoping to get, last year we got about $10,000 from them, and we're hoping to get that again, and that's on the agenda for this Friday. So at this time last year, we raised about $114,000 from 208 donors. This year we have about 77,000 from 225 people. We heard that the Procore PGA event might gift us money. They pick somebody each year after the event, and apparently they picked our Firewise council, so that's great. And if we get that and our money from SPOA, we could have the money we need for this year. We're going to start our grazing June 1st, earlier than last year, and we're, instead of going across the top of the community, we're going to go from both ends. People that were at the end of all the grazing last year were getting kind of worried. So this year we're going to try and appease everybody and meet in the middle. So that's kind of it. Just give you kind of a idea of where we're at. We're also going to do some herbicide work with Artemis on some areas above Milliken Creek. And we're hoping to raise more money because we've got 2 eucalyptus groves that are, our eyes are set on removing them. CAL FIRE's working on one on Alice Peak, but we'd like to help. And then we have a small eucalyptus grove inside the resort grounds. So that's our additional goal if we get more money than we need for the grazing. So.
That's great. And fingers crossed on that additional donation.
Yeah. How long will the sheep/goats be out grazing?
We're
Do you have any?
in June to August. I don't know, late August or middle August, but into August is the goal.
All right. Any other updates? Otherwise,
Paul?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this the time for a Pope Valley update?
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Phil Burton asked me to stand in for him this evening. We have a number of committees that we've set up. We've got a core group of people that are very interested in helping out. We have a green address sign committee. We have a red box committee. We have a dozer fire line break committee. We have a committee working on the Firewise Council certification. And so that group, we're going to try and meet quarterly. We're not sure exactly of our timing. Phil wanted me to ask about scheduling a bit with the group so we're not overlapping. We were thinking of the second week of May of having our group meet, but that may be in conflict with a calendar event that's already, dare I say, on the calendar. And then we're also talking about having a community-wide meeting. I don't know that Pope Valley calls them town halls, but everyone gathering at the farm center is something that happens not infrequently. So that's pretty much the update. I don't know. The real question is maybe coordinating calendars for scheduling. Is that something that I would talk to, Allison, or not Allison? I mean, I just saw your name there, Allison. Who would I talk to about
you can talk to me, or Lori. A lot of the Fire Safe Council share their meetings with us so we can attend or provide materials. So we have a pretty good idea of the folks who meet on a regular basis. A lot of other Fire Safe Councils meet kind of whenever it makes sense to meet. And as far as I can tell, Wednesday, that Wednesday is open. That used to be this meeting, the second Wednesday of the month, we used to have this meeting, but that does have a conflict with fire, right, JR? That, I don't know if that's still true, but there was fire had like a big countywide meeting potentially. I don't know what it was exactly, but it was a conflict for fire to join us on this call. So that would be the only consideration, I think, is if you want your local battalion chief. And again, JR, you could ask JR about that, about if there's still a battalion chief out on
Sure.
available.
I'll talk with JR. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been on the road together a few times, so no problem.
A few.
But otherwise, I think that's a great
That's
time for
my
meeting.
report. That's all I've got.
Sounds great. Thanks, Paul. I'm excited for you guys. You're getting a lot of great things done, and
Getting started.
yeah, it's good. And Pam, I saw your hand go.
Yeah, happy to give a quick update. The simulation drills were a big success here last week. As mentioned, that was really fun to do, and I'm game. I know JR's on hold right now, but I'm game for a prescribed burn up here anytime. Just throwing that out there. Maybe Steve can talk everybody into it. We missed you, Steve. Big news here is that we are really far along in our beacon box fundraising. We've got 29,000 of the $32,000 needed for 8 beacon boxes in the 10,000 acre area of Spring Mountain Fire Safe Council. We're going to do some targeted asking for the remaining balance. That's because PG&E has donated half of the 8 boxes, and then we're fundraising on the rest. So I don't know, Sherry, if you want to pull up the pictures from Brandon, but they're in production now at the Beacon Box headquarters, which was impacted by the LA fires. So we're very lucky these guys are back in the saddle making the boxes, to be honest with you. And then very big update on behalf of Diamond Mountain and St. Helena and Spring Mountain Fire Safe Councils is the group task force between those 3 FSCs to really work with both a park and the state parks organization to get some progress. It's moving along. We've got some draft permits from them for the road up to Stony Hill, which is one way in and one way out and open to the public at the end of a 3-mile road there. And so draft permits are something I've worked on my own for over 11 years to try to get. So if you ever want to see the power of Firewise, just look at what the task force is doing there in the state park to get things done. Steve, I've got almost 30 flags on the trees on the driveway up to my place after the spotted owl calling was done the other night. The forester came back the next morning in daylight and he flagged trees that he feels are in danger of falling. So there's some discussion about having you walk Cindy Schaefer through, or someone walk through Cindy Schaefer through the trees on May 3rd when she's out for the pancake breakfast over here at the mill. So if anybody's looking for a fun time, the pancake breakfast at the mill is a fantastic day. I will not be in town, so I'm looking for someone to sub in and help explain why the forester marked each of the trees. We're going to GPS locate them and there's a lot of documentation, obviously, for permitting for parks, but I share this because I know many of you are but up against public lands, and so you're all facing the same issues we are over here. So Steve offline, I guess, on that, and then
Yeah, who was the forester?
Scott Butler.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, let's connect offline, and I should be able to cover that since you're out of town.
That'd be
Because
great.
usually I'm just monitoring the situation since it's not a grant-funded project.
Yeah.
But I can squeeze stuff like this in. So
okay, great. Thank you so much. And I know you've had good success with the parks interaction in the past. So
yeah, they're great. And I
boxes.
think your situation's unique. You guys should be really proud of your progress. I don't think anyone else in the county has to deal with anything like this.
Yeah, and it's such a critical area to keep clear, to keep the highway open, you know. That's really where we're putting a lot of pressure, frankly, on the state parks folks, is that they need to be responsible for that ingress and egress along the highway. as well as the 74 parcels that surround the park. So, so power and numbers there with your neighboring FSCs. And then my last thing I wanted to open it up for discussion was how to get more people in your boundary area to sign up for your specific FSC updates or newsletters or however you all are communicating. We're sort of stalled out at about 130 of the 200 parcels, and I'm just trying to figure out how to rally the troops. So all ideas welcomed. Thank you.
I wanted to mention the HMGP grant has some stuff that is in both a park. So as we're starting to get that fired up, we'll want to connect with you. I'm sure as we're working through that and kind of look at those. There's 2 projects that are one in the park and one kind of adjacent as well. So we'll be chatting.
And that's the HMP grant?
HMGP, yeah, Hazard Mitigation Grant Program.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much, JR.
Yeah, that's the one up on the county line, right? So
The ridge line, yeah.
yeah.
There's
Okay.
the ridge line, and then there's one, I think, kind of along the road somewhere in there. I'd have to pull up the map to look.
I think the second one is it's reestablishing the fire road from Smith Madrone down to Stony Hill so that people could get out another way besides Spring Mountain Road or going over to Sonoma on Spring Mountain Road. There's an old fire road that just needs, relatively speaking, not a lot of work to provide an emergency egress route. And Scott Butler happened to call for spotted owls along there too. So we've got an owl study done for the parks. So maybe we could take advantage of that and kind of push that ahead together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That's great. And roadside clearing, I'm sorry if you guys said that, has that been able to go forward for the driveways?
We're trying to, that's that tree issue, and we're trying to, because the permit calls for, interestingly enough, the state park language calls for roadside clearing as well as removal of any dead or dying plant material, which includes trees. So that's why I had the forester go through and tag the trees with a pink flag if either of you are in the area and want to drive it. It's yeah. It's 30 trees and it's a huge ticket. And so we'd have to figure out, the funding issue on that's going to be pretty tremendous, but you got to start somewhere. So if we can get it shovel ready and cost it out and all that, then we'll go from there on figuring out how to get it paid for. Obviously, it's in my best interest to get as much of it cleared as possible. So I'm a willing participant in all that conversation. Some of these trees are 150-foot high conifers. So it's going to be a meaningful tree conversation to be had.
Ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what Cindy says. And then do you recall, did Scott Butler, did he usually, when you do a tree risk assessment, the road would be the target? And so I guess all 30 of these are leaning toward the road. They're not leaning out into the woods.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
We didn't flag anything leaning away. And then we also only looked within the 30-foot of clearance on the roads of what could fall. If you look beyond that, there's hundreds of trees that are putting the road at risk. So this is sort of a first step of getting the most immediate need addressed first, which is right along the roadside.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's tricky, but it's good progress. So
yeah. And I mention it just because I know many of you all are dealing with conifer issues and density. And this is a really good example of it. And oh, by the way, it's on public lands. So good times. Thanks.
Thank you. And Lon, do you have any updates? I know you've got a lot of things going forward too in a meeting this weekend.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. We have a meeting on Saturday, the 26th, to finalize our details related to our Firewise USA designation, and also look at some projects on our CWPP. So Carol and Stacy are going to come up and meet with us at the ranch. We got a little small working group to kind of plow through that. Just a shout out to you guys. The progress on the 121 project looks good. I'm seeing it every other day or so, and it's pretty amazing to see the work that they do. I know that it's not it's probably challenging to message that, but from a retired firefighter's perspective, it's great to see that evacuation route get some attention, and it's if you haven't seen them work with the Steve will know the name of the machine, but it's like a super toboggan, thing. But anyway, it's a pretty impressive machine, and it's a pretty impressive project. So kudos to you guys for making that happen. Into the report, unless anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Lon. I'm planning to join you Saturday too. Great. Well, look at that, 6 o'clock already.
Yeah, Steve, did you have any quick things that you wanted to share about veg ops updates, or do people have any questions for
just
Steve?
that it affects some people here and some people that aren't here. Hopefully they will watch this later, but we've got Summit Lake Drive. We're going to do some roadside work on soon. Old Ham Mountain Road all the way down to Silverado Trail. Highway 128 from Tubbs to the Sonoma County line. Butts Canyon Road. Old Lolly Toll Road. Wooden Valley Road. Diamond Mountain Road. And then we're also going to be doing some mastication work on a PUC parcel that looks like a jigsaw puzzle, and it affects a whole bunch of homes in the Angwin area. So we're going to have an extraordinarily busy next couple months. You will notice us in the county. It's going to be a lot of traffic delays, and it's just a good time to relax and be thankful. Thank you.
Taking the view while you're waiting. Great, thank you, Steve.
Well, I think with that, we're at time. I think the updates really that Sherry and I had just planned on sharing with all of you is just to remind you to continue to think about community events. Lean into us for any questions you have about, how you can engage with your community to get, work done on the ground, get, to Pam's point, grow new membership. I think all of our FSCs are considering that. So we're happy to set up further meetings and talk with each of your groups about the specific needs of your FSC.
Yeah, Pam, I have some ideas. Things we could do, get people to roll up their sleeves and get out and chat with each other. Some local neighborhood meetings, or around the world neighborhood, like a progressive meeting, go from neighborhood to neighborhood and learn about little tidbits from our vast Spring Mountain Fire Safe Council.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
Broom pulls. Helping a neighbor in need is great too. Steve's always at the ready with a chainsaw.
So I think that's again, we're happy to reach out and have those follow-up conversations, or reach out to us as needed. And thank you all for your time this month, and we look forward to seeing you again. And as you know, we'll send out these materials probably on Friday with a link to the YouTube and PowerPoint, list notes from the chat, attendees, and all that information. But any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you again.
Nice seeing you all.
Thanks to you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.